Hey guys, here we are again with another story from the Disney Bedtime Favorites. Today's going to be from the world of Peter Pan, Captain Hook's Shadow. Walk the plank, Peter Pan, John Darling yelled, waving a wooden sword at his brother Michael. The boys were playing in their nursery. John was pretending to be Captain Hook, and Michael was pretending to be Peter Pan.
I won't walk the plank, and you're a codfish, Captain Hook,
Michael said.
I'll get you for that, Pan,
John cried. As the brothers chased each other around the room, Michael felt like he was back in Neverland.
All right, John and Michael, time for bed,
Wendy said, walking into the room.
Just 5 more minutes,
John pleaded.
All right,
Wendy agreed, walking out of the nursery.
A few more minutes.
John and Michael began another pretend battle, but the minutes passed quickly, and soon Wendy returned.
Now it's really time for bed, you two,
she said. Wendy and John put down their Michael and John, put down their swords and crawled into their beds. Wendy turned out the light and got into bed too. She was sleeping in the nursery while her new bedroom was being decorated. Michael pulled up the covers. He wasn't the least bit tired. Soon John and Wendy were fast asleep. Michael squeezed his eyes shut, but it was no use. He kept picturing Captain Hook trying to capture Peter Pan. Suddenly, Michael heard a rattling sound, followed by a loud whoosh. He opened his eyes and looked around. The nursery windows were thrown wide open, but no one was there. Then Michael noticed a shadow against the far wall. He gasped in fear. The shadow looked like Captain Hook. Michael wanted to run, but he couldn't. He would have to hide. Michael quickly dove under the covers. Captain Hook was scary. But being under the covers didn't make Michael feel any better. He needed to know if the pirate was in the nursery. Slowly, he lifted the bottom edge of the blanket and peeked out. Michael still couldn't see Hook, but the captain's shadow was right there against the wall, as large as life. The shadow looked around the nursery for a moment. Then it began to creep toward the far corner. A chill ran down Michael's spine. Captain Hook was headed right toward Wendy. Michael knew he had to protect Wendy. As he glanced around the nursery, his eyes fell on his wooden sword. Michael reached down and grabbed the sword just as the shadow got to Wendy. He threw off his covers and leaped toward it. The shadow stumbled backward. Michael lunged at it again, but it swiped at him with its hook. Michael dove under his bed. The shadow reached for him, but he darted away just in time. The shadow jumped onto the bed. Michael gulped, waiting for the hook to swipe at him again. He wondered why he was seeing only Captain Hook's shadow. Where was Hook hiding? Michael knew he had to do something. He couldn't stay under the bed forever. Captain Hook was sure to get him sooner or later. Michael dashed into the middle of the room, but the shadow came after him. As he tried to get away, he tripped over a ball. The shadow skulked toward him, shivering. Michael pictured a crocodile that waited for anyone who walked the plank. Suddenly, Michael heard someone call,
Peter Pan, I'm so glad you're here. Captain Hook tried to get Wendy, but I stopped him,
Michael shouted at as his hero flew in.
Where is Hook? Why is Captain Hook's shadow?
Don't let it get away, Peter Pan asked. It looked around. The shadow tried to run, but Peter Pan flew after it.
It's only a shadow,
Michael asked. Suddenly, he wasn't so scared. He leaped up from the floor and ran after it too.
Grab it from the other side,
Peter called. Michael ran toward the shadow from the right side as Peter flew at it from the left. The shadow was trapped. In a flash, Michael reached out and caught it.
Put it in here,
Peter cried, holding out a sack. Michael stuffed the shadow into the sack, and Peter tied it closed.
That was close. Why was Captain Hook's shadow here?
Michael asked.
I stole the shadow for a prank,
Peter explained.
Some prank? The shadow has been nothing but trouble. It pulled the Lost Boys' tails and put pine cones in their beds, and then it flew away from Neverland to cause trouble in London. That sounds really awful,
Michael cried, looking at Peter with wide eyes.
I'm glad we caught it.
Peter nodded.
Thanks for all your help, Michael. I'd better fly back to Neverland and return it right away, while everyone aboard Captain Hook's ship is still asleep. Those nasty pirates have already caused enough trouble. Do you want to come with me?
Peter asked Michael.
It'll be a great adventure.
No, not without Wendy and John, Michael replied.
Then let's bring them,
Peter said, flying over to Wendy's bed. He reached down to give her a gentle shake, then drew his hand back.
Oh, she's fast asleep.
John's asleep too. He looked over at John. He said as he looked over at John.
Maybe next time,
Peter said, jumping to the window edge.
Goodbye, Michael. Tell Wendy and John that I said hello,
he called. Then he flew out into the night.
I will,
Michael promised. He waved good night and then went back to bed, smiling. He was glad to have another adventure with Pan. That was a very good story, guys. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Bye.